Next topic, that is called the respiration. Okay, now what is respiration? What is the importance of the respiration? As we having other system, we are taking the food inside, we are digesting the food, but still we are not having the energy. We will not, our body will not get the energy from the glucose, because it is not a the amount, or it is not the in a position our body will take the energy from the glucose. That is why we need oxygen to break down this glucose and release the energy in the form of ATP. We release the energy and it will store in the form of ATP. It is called the adenosine triphosphate, and this is the form which is usable by our cell, usable by our body to do the different kind of the function for the reproduction of the cell, or some other maintenance work of the cell, for the growth function. Everything will be happen with the help of the ATP. That is why we need one more system, that is called respiration. And respiration basically we having with our lungs, and we are inhaling the air inside our body, we are taking the oxygen from it, which will stored into the alveoli. So we will discuss in the detail. So very first, the respiration is the process in which we are taking the oxygen in our body, it will burn the food and it will release the energy, and it is takes place in the mitochondria of the cell. This reaction will be happening to the mitochondria. So the energy releases during the respiration is used to make the ATP, that is the adenosine triphosphate molecule, from the ADP molecule, adenosine diphosphate and inorganic phosphate. If you see the reaction, this is the equation you can be find, or you can be see here, that is called the ADP plus phosphate, and in the presence of the energy from respiration, whatever the energy will be released in the respiration process, it will be added into the ADP plus phosphate, and it will make the ATP, that is called the ATP adenosine triphosphate molecule. So energy is stored in the cells in the form of ATP molecule, and whenever our body or our cell will require the energy, this ATP will break down and will get the energy from the ATP molecule. Again this reaction will show you how the ATP, and then whenever our body needs the energy, the ATP in the presence of water, it will give you the energy to do work, the energy to multiply our cell, or whatever things we have to do, and it will again release some ADP also. So this is the reaction. Now basically the respiration having two types. Respirations are basically, we can divide into the two parts or two types. Number one, aerobic respiration, and number two, anaerobic respiration. The word itself can explain you what is mean by aerobic and what is mean by anaerobic. In the aerobic respiration takes place with the help of the oxygen only. We require the oxygen in this process. Without oxygen we cannot break down the energy, we cannot break down our food. So with the oxygen, or in the process, the oxygen is required to break down the glucose and release the energy from it. So it takes place mostly organism they are doing the aerobic respiration. And for better understanding, you can see this equation, because it is happening into our cell. So when you are getting the food, we are having the food, we are releasing the energy, and we are converting into the glucose in the simpler form. The blood will take the glucose and provide each and every part of the cell. So inside the cell there is a glucose, and the glucose will take glucose in the presence of the oxygen. Here it is mentioned, in the presence of oxygen we have to perform this. Here it is mentioned, okay, glucose in cytoplasm with the presence of the oxygen, it will convert it into the pyruvate. Now what is the pyruvate? It is a second form of the glucose, means the glucose having 6 carbon molecule. So from the 6 carbon molecule to the 3 carbon molecule, it will convert into the cytoplasm. This will half process will be happen into the cytoplasm in the presence of oxygen. This is happening in our body like that. This is happening into the aerobic respiration. After that it will happen into the mitochondria. The next process will happen into the mitochondria in the presence of oxygen. Here also oxygen is present. So finally it will give you the carbon dioxide and the water plus energy. Here you can see this is the end product of this reaction. This is also the chemical reaction. So what you will get after the reaction? Energy you will get the carbon dioxide, that is byproduct, and water molecule, and that carbon dioxide is not usable for us, so that will be removed from our body with the help of the lungs. So this is the process, or this is the equation is happening in our body, that is called the aerobic respiration with the help of the oxygen. Now the second one, it is an anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration it is doesn't require the oxygen to break down the glucose. So now it will happen in our body also. Our body having both the reactions. Aerobic respiration we also having an anaerobic respiration, but mostly we are having the energy with the help of the aerobic respiration. But sometimes in our muscles we are also having the anaerobic respiration, means sometimes we are doing more hard work, we are running more, we are doing more exercise, so in your muscles sometimes you feel cramps. So that is what happen. Why it is happening? Because in our muscles sometimes the required oxygen is not enough. So our muscles will do the anaerobic respiration. Our muscle cells will do the anaerobic respiration. They will break down the glucose molecule in the absence of the oxygen. So here it is the reaction is mentioned, okay, that is the glucose, or that in the presence of oxygen we have already seen. Now in the absence of oxygen, first of all in the cytoplasm there is oxygen. So in the cytoplasm presence of oxygen, it will convert 6 molecule of the carbon like glucose to the 3 carbon molecule pyruvate. Okay, after the pyruvate in our muscle cells, here it is mentioned, okay, there is the absence of oxygen, we are doing more hard work, so the less oxygen is present. So in the absence of the oxygen in the muscles, it will produce the lactic acid. It will produce lactic acid plus energy. So that is not happening into the aerobic respiration, but in anaerobic respiration the disadvantage it is making the lactic acid, and that is why we are feeling the cramps, because the lactic acid will be accumulate inside our body and it will make you the painful situation. So and the second difference is the less energy will be produced into the anaerobic respiration. If you compare the comparison between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration, so the more energy will be produced, around 28 ATP will be produced in the aerobic respiration and only 2 ATP will be produced into the anaerobic respiration. That is why it is not more beneficial as compared to the aerobic respiration, because the reason is what, in the presence of oxygen the glucose will be burned completely, and if the glucose will burn completely, the more energy will be released from the food, and that is why it is giving you 28 ATP. And in absence of oxygen there is a less amount of the energy will be produced, because the food will be not burned completely. So that is why it is having only 2 ATP. In our body both the things will be happen. Again one more example, we will take the example of the yeast. Yeast is a organism, microscopic organism, and we are utilizing in some industries to produce the ethanol, to produce the alcohol, or in our bakery process also we are using that. So we will see now what will happen in the case of the yeast. So the glucose will be turned into the pyruvate in the presence of oxygen in the cytoplasm only, but where in the yeast there is absence of oxygen. So yeast is an anaerobic organism, we are always seeing yeast is anaerobic organism, without oxygen it can be produced. So in yeast without oxygen it will produce the ethanol. This is the final product will be take here, or will be formed by in the anaerobic respiration, it will make the ethanol, that is can be called the alcohol, and plus carbon dioxide plus energy. In this reaction also the very less amount of the energy will be produced, and this process is called the fermentation, because we are using this microorganism in our wine and beer factories, in the bread factories to produce sometime carbon dioxide to make our bread fluffy. In our wine and beer industry we are using the yeast to produce the ethanol, because ethanol can be used in the alcoholic product. So that is why this is used in some industry processes, and this is the difference between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration. And if you want to write some points for the remember, you can write down these points. What are the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration? The energy will be produced more in aerobic respiration, the energy will be produced less in the anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration must need oxygen, anaerobic respiration doesn't need the oxygen. And some other process also, some other example also you can add in that. Organism, example of the organism, like in we are human beings, we are doing the aerobic respiration, and most of the organism will do the aerobic respiration, and in the example like the yeast, it will do the anaerobic respiration. Okay, so now we will turn to the next slide, that is called the breakdown of the glucose by the various pathways. In this one slide you can understand how the aerobic and anaerobic both the respiration, both the equation will be happen. Now here you can see the glucose is there, and this is happening in the presence of oxygen in the cytoplasm. In the cytoplasm, this is the part of our cell, so there is oxygen present, so that is why it is called the presence of oxygen, and it will convert the glucose into pyruvate. Glucose is a 6 carbon molecule and pyruvate is a 3 carbon molecule, and plus some energy will be needed. After that, there are 3 equations are given. Number 1, this equation will give you the presence of the oxygen in the mitochondria. This is basically or normally happening in our body. So presence, where there is a presence of the oxygen in the mitochondria, the equation will be like this. We are having the energy, we are having the carbon dioxide plus water molecule. This is normally happening. Now we can see the number 2 slide, that is showing the absence of the oxygen in muscles. As I told you, while you are doing more exercise, more activities, so there is less oxygen in your muscles, so they will do the anaerobic respiration. This is written absence of oxygen, so it will produce the lactic acid plus energy, but the difference is it is giving more energy and it is giving less energy. It is giving only 2 ATPs are there. Or finally in the yeast, lastly in the yeast, because there is no oxygen present, so it will produce the ethanol plus carbon dioxide, and the ethanol will be used as a alcohol plus carbon dioxide plus energy. Again the less energy will be produced in the anaerobic respiration. So that is a main thing of that. We can understand with this 3 example all the process, how the aerobic respiration will be happen, how the anaerobic respiration will be happen, both the things which can be understand easily with this all the chart or the flow chart. Okay. So whatever the things we have learned in this lecture, you have to be just go through it once again, revise this all the processes, what the things we have been studied in this lecture, and you can just write some answers of the question for your exercise. What is amoeba, how the it is take the food inside the body, how it will digest, and again you can be write some differences between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration, like a homework you can do in your house while you are sitting in the house. So you can be do this kind of the things, and again the answer you can also write for your revision. Okay, what is mean by aerobic respiration, what is mean by anaerobic respiration, what are the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So these are the activities, or these are the like a homework you have to do at your home, and then whenever we have the time I will see this homework from you. So the remaining process respiration in the human beings will start in our next lecture, because we having the time binding. So thanks for watching this all the lectures, and see you in the next lecture. Bye.